Hey, what's up, everybody? Video Flip coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm listening to everybody talk about the Lakers. Different conversations are being had about the team right now, and I just wanted to get on here and bump my gums and contribute. Athleticism is what I last heard. It was one of the guys I was listening to talking about the Lakers' lack of athleticism in the front court, or the back court rather, our guards. And he started naming off all of the players on the Detroit Pistons that were giving us problems. And you know what came to mind? Picks. Those players were picks that they drafted. So if we mortgage our picks, we're going to have more problems in the future for it in the long run, because you don't get this type of talent. Jaden Ivey was a pick. Cade Cunningham was a pick. Jalen Duren was a pick that they got from the Knicks. All that rhymes, I know. But they're picks. These are players that were ultimately taken over the last several years in the draft. New and improved state-of-the-art talent. Picks. We have needs. But if you give away picks, you're going to have even more needs in the future. And no Bron and no AD to mask the problem. We got to stop making bad decisions with our roster that lead us to having deficits, deficient value players on the roster. Gabe Vincent, that's just a loss there. Jalen Hooch, a loss there. And you mortgage so many picks that turn into so many different players. You look at the guy Dyson Daniels that was ultimately the pick that we gave up to the New Orleans Pelicans in the Anthony Davis trade. Now he's coming along. He looks pretty good. He's a defensive guard that can play two positions, that ultimately is somebody you want to put in front of Jaden Ivey. There goes a pick somewhere else that you actually need, that it literally would be a player you really need right now. Isaiah Jackson, even though he's out for the season right now, unfortunately, but he was a pick, athletic forward that would have helped you in front court situations. You look at all the players that the Lakers have let go of in the name of trying to accumulate what they have. It's basically new and improved young athletes. And we've chosen non-athletic people to be in this situation. And then furthermore, we ask them to stand next to other circumstances that we're doing for political reasons. Bronny James needs a roster spot, so that's one that's going away. Now you're moving on from Castleton, you move on from Blake Henson, which I had no problem with, so you can bring in Koloko. Koloko's a hurt player. It's like we're asking for too many different things that, in a nutshell, each and every one of these things would be fine, but next to one another become a problem. And this is kind of a theme here in LA. It's like we're not cognizant of the fact that we're compounding problems. With each and every choice that we make, we're asking for things that can't really help us to come in and help the team and be relying upon one another. Max Christie is another problem. Why? Because you didn't allow our coach to develop him last year. You didn't demand that coach develop him last year. So he's a player that you paid $32 million to keep because you didn't want to let him go, but you also didn't properly develop him. So now you have a piece that's making all kinds of money that can't really help you. As I predicted in the offseason, I told everybody while they were super excited about Max Christie, I'm like, we didn't even develop Max Christie. I don't know what y'all think Max is going to come in and do. But I seem to be the only person that was telling y'all that I thought he was going to struggle, and he struggled way worse than even I thought he was going to struggle. He looks worse than what I was predicting when I was saying it. It's just some of this stuff is like, and I use this phrase a million times on this channel, layup merchants, guys that are not very athletic, guys that can only play one side of the ball, and combo guards, that can't really do a combination of much of anything in a lot of cases. As it pertains to staying in front of athletes, they can't do it. And I get it. Athletes are very expensive. It's not the easiest thing to get to pair up a Jaden Ivey. You know what I mean? And these guys that are highly athletic guards that can do the things we need them to do, if they were easy to get, I'm sure we would have them. But then again, it's like, nah, probably not. Because the reality is we had a chance to. We just took Jalen Hood-Schifino over them. We had a chance to get Cam Whitmore. We didn't take him. That's your athleticism right there. That's your explosiveness right there. And our affinity for layup merchants and non-athletic guys, it leaves us at a disadvantage in a league that has a good portion of athleticism. And furthermore, I think about Anthony Davis being on this team for what now, 6 years? Is this year 6 of him being a Laker, something like that? And we have yet to get him a legitimate center on this team. And I could argue that the center position has been one of the least valuable positions in the league, meaning that you should likely be able to get a center before you get anything else in the league, where people don't value centers as much. They're starting to now, but leading into this year, we should have been able to get centers up and down the roster over the last couple of years, when we haven't been able to secure a single decent one. You know, man says he needs a center, you bring him Jackson Hayes. The man says he needs a center, you bring him Koloko. Koloko can't even get on the floor. He was just, luckily enough, cleared right now and should be available to play tomorrow, which is me breaking the news in an awkward way. But from what I understand, Koloko has been cleared. The Lakers can now play him if they want. I thought he was already cleared, but I guess he will be considered active tomorrow for the Lakers. I think that's more so out of necessity than him being ready, given the fact that Anthony Davis is now dealing with a heel contusion and may keep him out of the game against Memphis. So this is a nightmare for the Lakers, an absolute nightmare. And it's one that was foreseeable. And as I always say, man, if you're going to have problems, you can't have those problems next to other problems. You can't sign up for stuff that ain't going to look good next to something else. And this is the problem that I think our front office has had. They have not been able to identify how something can't coincide with something else. You know what I mean? Austin and D'Lo, they can't play together, man. Like they can, but not in the form of anything productive defensively consistently, especially against these type of players. It keeps you at a handicap that doesn't allow your ceiling to be high enough to make any of this make any damn sense. But we won't get rid of Austin. And for whatever reason, we can't get rid of D'Lo. And it's just one of those situations where it's like you continue to find yourself in a situation where your team is not good enough, man. You don't have the front court player. We love Rui Hachimura, but as one of the people I was listening to just said, his motor comes and goes. I think a lot of that has to do with how we feature him or lack thereof. You know, sometimes he does things down there, you scratch your head. You're like, what? How the hell you didn't score there? How didn't you make that pass there? That type of stuff. He's still a player also, believe it or not, still developing. Rui Hachimura is still developing. He's still not a finished product. He didn't get much development in his first situation. We decided when we first got him here, even though he couldn't miss a damn shot, that we didn't want to play him so much because we didn't want to pay him so much that following off season. It paid off in us getting a contract that we like from him, but now he's not playing up the contract because he's not consistent enough to do so. It's just, the Lakers are the absolute worst team to want to do this Bronny James thing because you need roster spots. And it's not just that he's eating up a roster spot. You are pushing away talent because you don't have roster spots. And he's eating up a roster spot. So it's like if you wouldn't have done this with him, you would have had roster spots that could have secured you some pieces that ultimately you could use on your bench and possibly in trade packages. You are not the team that can afford to do that. When you were negotiating Cam Reddish's opt-in contract, who did you think Cam Reddish was? When you gave him a player option, who did you think he was? And how did you not foresee that potentially he would not be that great of a player, and that you knew Bronny James was probably going to come out of college next year, as to which you would probably want to do what you ended up doing, which was giving him a roster spot and a guaranteed contract off the strength of LeBron James. You didn't anticipate that being possible? And then Jalen Hood-Schifino was, with the back injury, how did you think he was going to contribute to a good bench next to those two? And then furthermore, Christian Wood coming off the knees and having the deficiencies defensively that he had in his past, how did you think he looked good next to those three? You see what I'm saying? It's like that's where the Lakers organization is not really good, is understanding what not to pair with other stuff. You can't put that next to that. You can't put that next to that when that is present. You can't put that next to that when that is present, and so on and so forth. This is where they are not really getting it done, man. Because they're not identifying that, this is a problem. Next to a problem. Next to a problem. Next to a problem. And you're creating a problem on purpose because you want to do this, but that means that you have 5 problems, and we can still count these problems. The presence of so many underdeveloped players having real NBA contracts on your roster. You know what I'm saying? Why is Max Lewis on the team not able to contribute in the G League with a real roster spot? You see what I'm saying? It's like you're not the team that can afford to develop him under these circumstances based on these other problems. Jalen Hood-Schifino busting out also on the roster, can't help us. You want to put Bronny James on the team, he can't help us. You give Gabe Vincent, who's just awful, all the money in the world, and slap him next to the rest of them. It's like, what the hell? And you get bring poor Dalton in and say, okay, you're the best player on the bench. Come out and be the best rookie you can be, except we're not going to play you consistent minutes to start the season because JJ has it in his head that he just doesn't want to. So it's like, yo, and then Max Christie, come on in, even though you're underdeveloped, we're giving you all this money. You're going to be who it is that we expect you to be, even though we didn't teach you how to be that. It's like, these are problems we put together on purpose, front office. You put these things together. If you have only one of these issues, then they're fine. Okay, yeah, if Max Christie without the presence of all these other problems, that's cool. If you want to bring in Koloko without the need for another center, that's cool. If Jackson Hayes is just being who he is without the presence of all these other problems, that's cool. If Bronny James is the only player that isn't productive on your bench and you want to give him a roster spot, not going to hurt. But that you put all this crap together is it's what's tanking your situation. That you put all of this together on top of Gabe and on top of Cam Reddish, like, these are problems. And quite honestly, that we couldn't identify that these certain things shouldn't have been done because of the presence of the other things is probably what ultimately tanks our support for the front office. It tanks your support. It makes it so that we look at you and say, you can't put together an NBA team. You can't identify where you're the team that shouldn't be doing certain things because of the presence of other problems that you've created. That, in and of itself, is a big problem. And so that's really what I wanted to articulate here. It's like it's understood. I've had this thought in my head, but I ain't really said it like this. But these people here in this Laker franchise can't identify when they have already taken too many risks in the wrong direction. And they still want to pile on more risk. It's just, no, you're the wrong team for that. You're the wrong team for that. You know what I mean? And that's what it really comes down to. To be able to self-identify, to say, I've already done this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. So consciously, even though I would love to take a chance on that, I can't be the team that does that because that's going to create another problem if it teeters the wrong way. We just keep on getting stuff to us that probably ain't supposed to be next to one another. And so, and I'm a Laker fan. So this is completely backwards to my own interests. But this is why I would advise Anthony Davis to keep his leverage. Keep your leverage, bro, because the front office, they are not identifying that they're putting a bunch of hodgepodge together that doesn't fit with one another. Taking chances and moving things around that doesn't actually give you a team that's strong enough to help you win. They're doing the Bron thing. You deserve better, Anthony Davis. That's what I would say to AD. As a Laker fan, I'm happy you're here. I don't want you to leave. I don't want to trade you under circumstances you ain't pleased with. I don't want, you to suffer the ills of the front office's mistakes here either. And, Bron has made it so that he's attached to this thing whether it sinks or not. He doesn't care. He got his son on the team. He got his no trade clause. He's cool. He's gonna ride it out. He's 40 years old. He's on the way out anyway. He got 4 championships. He's cool. AD's the guy who's really got to drag all this trash together, drag it to the promised land with the expectations that if he doesn't play MVP ball for 82 games, they ain't going to even damn make the playoffs. I wouldn't sign up for that if I were Anthony Davis. Not even to live in Los Angeles would I sign up for that if I were him, man. And I'm from LA. I love LA. I would not, bro. And so that's what I got to say to Anthony Davis and to the front office. If I were Anthony Davis, the Lakers would be on thin ice with me. They would be on thin ice with me. I love being a purple and gold. I think it holds a lot of weight. Going up, having the idea that I can put my jersey up in the rafters with the Lakers means the world to me. But at this point in time, I've already earned that. If I leave today, I've already earned that. I got a championship with y'all. I played NBA high-level basketball with you guys for 6 years. I deserve to have number 3 up in the rafters at this point if I don't play another game for you. That's how I feel if I'm Anthony Davis. You guys got to fix your problems and stop piling risky acquisitions next to one another and expecting it to come together to be any good. And that's really what it comes down to. Risky acquisitions that should not be asked to be reliant upon one another. So that's really the point of view that I wanted to bring to this particular video, man. Stop piling problems next to one another. BDL44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.